Okay, are you ready for it? Tip number 3. This is essential to realizing a dream and to changing the course of your life. It's discovering or rediscovering the power of perseverance. Now, I know some of you are already thinking, this isn't new. I've heard this many times. But wait, if you skip this tip, you will miss an important insight that is fundamental to the whole top 10 tips. So bear with me as I set the scene before sharing with you a not so secret. You've probably heard the story of Winston Churchill 50 years ago bringing a commencement address to a British university. He basically shuffles onto the stage, cane, bowler hat, cigar. He gets to the stage, leans his cane against the podium, takes his bowler hat off, places his unlit cigar on the podium, steps up on his toes, leans forward, and looking around the great hall, he utters 3 words 3 times, each time with a different emphasis. Please forgive my repeating them minus his eloquent British accent, but he said it this way: never give up. Never give up. Never give up. And at that, he lowered his heels to the floor, put on his bowler hat, took his unlit cigar, took his cane, and shuffled back off the stage. For a moment, the audience was left stunned in silence, not only by the brevity of the speech, but by its profundity. As Churchill disappeared from view off the stage, the audience stood in grateful applause and ovation. He need not say any more. His life and achievements filled his words with authority. Now, that story has probably been embellished, and I may have not told it precisely the way it happened, but yet, as a metaphor, it reminds us of the power of perseverance, no matter what life throws us, to keep pressing on and never give up. When each of my sons turned 10, we climbed Mount Fuji, Japan's highest and holiest mountain. It isn't a technical climb, but it is arduous. If you can imagine 6 hours on a step machine or breathing in a room that has a diminishing oxygen supply, you may get some sense of the tiring, tedious ascent. Yet, thousands, tens of thousands climb it every year. On our way up, we met a never-ending stream of pilgrims coming down, and without exception, each one greeted us with the same words in Japanese: "Gambatte kudasai," which basically means stick at it, keep going please. But in the social context of this group-oriented society I live here in Japan, it also is a greeting that has an implication that if you keep going, we all succeed. In other words, for the sake of us all, keep going. These words are spoken with a sense of appreciation and admiration, and in the belief that the goal is achievable. Now, of course, this is nothing new. We've been told all our lives that the tortoise won the race. It is the consistent, boring repetition of a task that achieves the desired goal. But the achievement of the goal is not the only reward that comes from persevering. Something more, something magical, something spiritual happens as we press on. An inner transformation takes place. We seem to enter a dimension where the fog gives way to clarity, and we enter a state of heightened spirituality and awareness. It may only be subtle, but incrementally, each time you press on beyond what you believe you could have reached already, and beyond what you thought was a personal limitation, you are rewarded with what appears to be bluer skies, greener grass, and a clearer vision of what can be. In Japanese, the word for crisis is comprised of 2 Japanese characters. One means danger, Well, the other is a blend of the English words opportunity and promise. A feat of endurance is a crisis. And when you do not feel like going on any further and your body says no more, that's enough. But often the body is only responding to its known limits and past experiences. Your body is just saying, hey, this is the point we've stopped before. What are you doing moving forward? And it says, are you sure you want to go on? Even the cartoon character Homer Simpson has his own take on this concept. He invented his own word, Christotunity. Christotunity. Every crisis carries a challenging opportunity with it, and we can either quit or forge ahead. Many people assume that life can never change. They live within a prison of what has been. Dreams are suppressed and deemed unrealizable. But it is never too late to step out and embrace your future. It will take, however, discipline and stamina. One of my big adventures in life was cycling 3,000 kilometers from Kyushu to Hokkaido, chasing the cherry blossom. I almost gave up 2/3 of the way through. An awful day, acute tendonitis in both knees, a crisis back home with the family, and a mountain, and going up a mountain into a headwind made it almost unbearable. I pressed on after a short stop and reappraisal of my condition and taking care of my knees for 2 or 3 days, and eventually arrived in Hokkaido, and I was elated. I was tears of joy, not sobbing, but eyes were welling, thinking, I did it. And then I cycled around Hokkaido for a couple of weeks. Then it was time to board the ferry back to Nagoya, a 36-hour ferry trip. And I was coasting down from the mountains to the ferry terminal through a very pleasant forest path, and the rain was gently falling, and my cadence was even, and the cycling was easy. And I enjoyed the sensual sounds and feelings of the rain on my jacket and my helmet. And I was kind of asking myself the question, I've achieved this. What now? It wasn't with any fear, but more an anticipation. And then it came. It came as a thought, and then it came. No great bolt of lightning, no dramatic epiphany, but it was a whisper, clearly to the soul. On that ride, my spirit and mind became one, and so let me just read to you what I wrote afterwards. The forest was quiet around me, disturbed only by the swish of my wheels rolling over the moist surface and the soft crackle of rain hitting my rain gear. My spirit and mind became one, and I wandered into my thoughts. It was the last day of traveling alone, and I felt the inner glow of knowing I had achieved my goal. I had been enriched in so many ways. But had the journey brought any insight into my life, the meaning, the purpose, and what's next? Had I found any resolution to those aching questions? Then it came, as clear as a whisper in a quiet room. It was a moment, spiritual in content and texture, but unaccompanied by strange or extraordinary signs. There was no booming voice from heaven, yet the words that came to my mind brought extraordinary clarity, unlocking and unleashing residual self-doubt. They came like a caboose at the end of a train of thought. And as fleeting as the moment was, the words that came to me could not have come with such power and healing without the 6 weeks of persistent pedaling that had preceded. So, perseverance has a reward beyond reaching the goal. Okay, see you in tip number 4.